Hi and welcome to this Crank Club spell along for the self-care spell kit, which is this one. So this spell is obviously all about self-care and self-love, which is really important. We all need to have love for ourselves and compassion for ourselves, and sometimes particularly as women it's something that we find pretty hard to do. We've got it all for everyone else, but actually finding it for ourselves is quite difficult. So this spell is just to help us to remember to be kind and compassionate to ourselves and to find a little bit of love for ourselves as well as for everyone else. So the first thing to do with this spell is I've got all the ingredients here exactly the same as what comes in the spell kit, so there's nothing different at all. So the first thing I've done is laid all these things out ready so that I'm not messing around and trying to find them. They're all here to hand. So what we've got for this spell is we've got an incense stick, we have a pink candle, some rose petals, a spell jar and some salt, some crystals, and a scroll and a little tiny heart as well. So this is all we need for the spell. So the first thing to do with any spell is to cleanse the energy in the space that we're using, because we want to just make sure that it's nice and neutral and we've got no negative energy hanging around. So that's what the incense stick is for, and this is a white sage incense stick, and white sage is perfect for cleansing any space. You can also use like a white sage smudge stick or some Palo Santo wood like this, or some frankincense essential oil, whichever you have to hand, but the incense stick is perfectly fine. So we use a lighter. This is a particular good lighter. So we're just lighting that and then just letting the smoke from the incense just waft around the area and just cleanse the energy in the space for us before we start. And then you can just leave that to one side. Okay, a little bit straighter. Setting fire to anything. Okay, so that's the energy all cleansed, and now the next thing to do is the start of a spell is to light the candle, and we have a pink candle for this spell because pink is the colour of unconditional love and friendship, and we want to have that love and that friendship for ourselves, and that's what we're aiming to do. So we're just going to light that. And then I use this little candle holder just to put the candle in so that it's nice and safe and steady and there while we do the spell. Okay, so now to the spell. All the spells are put into this little spell jar, and the first thing to do is to put some salt in the bottom of the spell jar, which I've already done. And what the salt does is that just protects us while we're doing any spell work, and that's a traditional method of protecting us while we do spell work, and it also just cleanses the energy again, so that keeps us nice and safe. So the next thing to do is to put in the flowers, and this spell we have some rose petals, and rose is all about love, unconditional love, for ourselves as well as for others, so that's what we're looking for, some love through this spell. So we're just gonna pop some of them in there. It's up to you how many you put in to the spell jar, but it looks quite pretty already. And then the next thing we're going to put in is the crystals, and for this spell we have amethyst, which is all about healing and it's nice and calming, and that's what we're looking to do. And also rose quartz. Rose quartz is a particular favourite of a lot of people, and the rose quartz is all about, again, love, unconditional love and self-care. So we're just going to pop some of them in. And then the next thing to do is you take this little scroll here, and we're going to have a think about something that we love about ourselves, a message of love that we want to send to ourselves. So it can be like an affirmation or something, a quality that you like about yourself, or something that you really need to hear for yourself at the minute. So I'm just going to take a moment, if you need to pause the video at this point, just take some nice deep breaths, maybe close down your eyes for a little minute and just really think about what it is that your soul, your spirit, yourself really needs to hear at the moment. What message of love do you want to give to yourself? And then what we do is we just take the little band off. please. Open up the scroll, and then you can write your message on there. Write your compliment to yourself, a message of love to yourself, whatever it is that you need right now. It could just be that I am loved. It could be as simple as that, just something that you need to hear. And then I'm just going to pop that into the jar. And that's everything we need in the spell jar now. And then also, while thinking about this message and while thinking about this love for ourselves, if you can now, I invite you to just take a moment, just close your eyes and just imagine yourself getting a hug, or just imagine yourself being held and hugged and feeling loved. So you can just pause the video again if you want to just take a moment to feel into that. While you're feeling that and while you're giving yourself that love, you can put this tiny little heart into the spell. And then when you're ready in your own time, we're just going to seal the spell up and just seal all those feelings of love for ourselves, all that self-care up inside the spell. So you just pop the cork in when you're ready. The next bit is sealing up the spell, which is where it gets a bit messy. I'm just using this flyer, but you can use a little plate or some sort of protection for the surface that you're on in case you get wax everywhere, like I always do. And then all you do is just take the candle that's still burning, and we're just going to drip the wax from the candle onto the top of the jar. And all this does is it just seals the jar up, and it seals that spell inside, that self-care and that love for ourselves just inside that spell. So this might take a few minutes just to drip the wax around the edge so it starts to drip down the spell jar and it's nice and sealed. So just take your time with that, really, like, you know, make sure it's nice and sealed and that you've finished off the spell. And then once you've done that, if you leave the candle just to burn out, if you can, it's best just to leave it to burn all the way down to complete the spell, but somewhere safe where it's not going to set anything on fire. And then that would end the spell. And then you end up with this little spell jar that you can then keep somewhere where you're going to see it regularly, somewhere close to you as a daily reminder, just to give yourself a bit of love and to tune into that feeling of self-love. So thank you for joining me for this spell along. There are loads more different spell kits available on crankclub.co.uk or on our Facebook or Instagram page, which is Crank Club UK. And I hope to see you again on another spell soon. Lots of love.